We are here with another Teacher of the Year profile. We're speaking with Suzy Brusca, who is one of 2 Teachers of the Year for the Twin Rivers Unified School District. Thanks for joining us, Suzy.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. So you are a 5th grade teacher at Frontier Elementary, but actually this year you're going to be teaching a 5-6 combo.
Right.
So I read that you said your room is rarely quiet.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, when it needs to be quiet, it's quiet. If we're taking a test, it needs to be quiet. There's times where it does, but I really encourage collaboration with my students. I want them talking. If I have just finished teaching a math lesson and it's time for them to work through some math problems, I want them talking to each other about math. And they know what type of talking. They're not going to be talking about what they did at recess, but I want them to use each other as support and to collaborate, because I think that that's a huge skill, is being able to work together and use each other as resources and know how to communicate in a positive and productive way.
So why is 5th grade considered such a crucial grade for a child's development?
I have a belief that most elementary schools end at 6th grade. You know, self-contained, you're with the same kids all day long. And I have this belief that if a student doesn't have all their ducks in a row by the end of 6th grade, it's going to be hard for them once they move on to middle school and then high school, when they have multiple teachers and so many other influences coming in to their life. So 5th grade, you've got them for 2 more years at that point. And I just think it's so important for them at that point. They're getting a little bit more maturity, so they can understand what their future might mean and the importance of what they're doing now and how that impacts the road that they're going to take. When they're younger, it's maybe hard for them to perceive that, but I think once they get to 5th grade, they can start perceiving that. So in 5th grade, it's important for them to understand the importance of failure, the importance of struggle, the importance of organizational skills. They have a lot coming their way in the next year or 2. And so it's crucial to prepare them for the academic struggles ahead and maybe the emotional struggles, and give them that strong foundation so that they can handle it once they hit middle school.
Because 5th grade is that year where you're really kind of preparing them for middle school.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of foundational stuff going on there.
Exactly.
Academically and socially, emotionally
socially,
too.
Yes.
So how do you deal with all of that?
Well, let's talk about, organizational. It's very, very simple. I require each of my students to have a binder. We try to keep things organized in our binder so that when they move on to middle school and they have a variety of teachers, they don't have a backpack with a bunch of papers shoved in it, so they can organize it. But also, a really big part of it is the emotional, social aspect of it. And we work a lot on being kind to other people, accepting other people, but also how to deal in a healthy, positive way when you're not treated that way. We can all kind of remember some times, I'm sure, in middle school where we had struggles socially. It's a tough time, but giving them those skills on how to deal with conflict and self-esteem and confidence. Confidence is huge going into middle school.
Definitely.
And so giving them that and how to deal with struggles and believe in themselves. So you just want to give them as much of those foundations. It's still going to be hard. They're still going to have a hard time in junior high. I feel like that's just a rite of passage. But giving them as many skills to deal with those struggles as I can, at that age, for a 10-year-old.
So you're dealing with the emotional 10-year-old and the 10-year-old scholar at the same time, and so you're really trying to balance those.
Right.
So are there certain core subjects for you that you really emphasize in your classroom to prepare them for the future?
They're all obviously important. I think I personally like to focus on the STEM subjects. I think that those can get really difficult when they get into junior high and high school, and you can lose a lot of students. I mean, I look back to my own education, and I got lost in math in high school, and I can relate a lot of it to confidence. And I've done some reading, especially with girls in math and girls in science, and how we lose a lot of them in junior high and high school, and a lot of it's based on lack of confidence. So I do try to drive those home. Part of it's a personal bias in that I love the STEM subjects as well. But I feel like with, you want your students to be obviously strong readers, but that's something that they're going to do in every subject. They're going to get reading instruction in every single subject, but making sure that they're strong in the math and sciences has always been really a focus for me.
Well, there seems to be a real increased focus on STEM-related topics now too.
There have been, and there's, I don't remember the exact statistics, but they say that certain percentage, very large percentage of the jobs that my students, my 10-year-olds right now will have once they finish college don't even exist yet, but they are in the STEM field. So making sure that my students have that opportunity and have that interest, and that they even know that there's that path, that they could become an engineer or a scientist. And then of course with technology is everywhere, and working with my students on how to use technology responsibly is really important as well. And I think that ties in to going on to middle school and high school, because we didn't have social media and all the different aspects of technology, thank goodness, when we were in middle school. So being able to be responsible digital citizens is also another skill that can help them academically, but also socially as they go on.
Sure. Well, how long have you been teaching?
I think 22 years.
You think? Yeah,
I think
back,
this is
for
my
a while,
20.
yeah.
I think this is my 23rd year that I'll be starting.
So in all that time, what are some of the big changes you've seen in education over those years?
Technology is the hugest. I mean, when I started teaching, I started off as a PE teacher. When I started in the classroom, which was 5 years after I had started teaching, the internet was just really brand new. We had a teacher computer, we had email, we never used it. That's been the biggest change. It has affected so much. I'm not sure how I did all my teaching planning back then without having access to the internet. And then being able to incorporate that into the classroom has helped with increasing the level of engagement. I mean, these students, we call them digital natives. This is what they've always known. And that, I couldn't have said that 15 years ago with my students when things were just rolling out and were just new. Everything else in education cycles through. It might be called something else. Throughout my 22 years of teaching, and I'm sure many teachers will say this, they can see educational trends cycle through. And what I've tried to maintain is good teaching. Because good teaching is good teaching. And as things come through, you grab what is going to add to that and make you a better teacher. But it's really nothing else has been. We have Common Core standards now. People will say, well, that's the biggest difference. Really, it's not. It's your Common Core standards is we want kids to think. We want to raise the level of rigor. Well, we hopefully have been doing that all along. So I would say that technology is definitely, and that's going to keep going. That's going to keep changing education.
And it's now a solid foundation of education because so much depends on technology, and you have to incorporate that in your classroom to keep that level of interest up too.
Absolutely, and as a teacher, it's so exciting. It's to me really fun. This coming year will be my first year that I have one-on-one laptops for my students, and I incorporate a lot of like Google Docs, Google presentation, and then that collaboration that you can do within Google. And it's so fun, and it's good. It's not just fluff fun, it's solid. I definitely can see my students achieving more because we're able to incorporate technology. But it has to be thoughtful.
Right.
You don't just say, hey, get on the computer and play this math game. You have to, as an educator, know what you're doing and have thought it through and have it really be purposeful. It's not, you're not teaching technology, you're teaching reading or you're teaching math, and you're using technology as a vehicle to do that.
So what does it mean to you to be a Teacher of the Year?
It's been, I don't know. It's been a bit overwhelming. I'm not someone who is really comfortable having the spotlight on me. I like to work hard and I like to do a good job, and I love my job. And it's exciting to be celebrated for that. Teaching is I am a teacher. That's who I am. It's not just my job. It's 24/7. I'm always, everything I see, I think, oh, how can I apply that to my classroom? How can I bring that into my students? And so it's kind of cool being recognized for that, because it's who I am. Mm-hmm. So it's a huge honor. It's exciting to represent my school, because Frontier Elementary is a fabulous school. So I feel honored to be able to represent Frontier as well, and just teachers in general. I mean, we all work really hard.
Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Very much. We've been speaking with Suzy Brusca, who is one of 2 Teachers of the Year for the Twin Rivers Unified School District. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.